Hello and welcome to episode 24 of Game Patrol. I'm your host, Landon Plumley, and welcome. Doing a little fireside chat this week because Bickle and Trace could not make it today, but it is all good. It's all good in the hood. We're just gonna talk you and I, but before I get into this week's podcast, I want to speak to anybody listening or watching out there. I might not have that big of a platform, but I want to make sure that, should anyone happen across this, and hopefully someone will, that I can use my platform, however small it may be, to bring about some important issues. So if you haven't yet heard, this past Monday there was a shooting of a Mr. Walter Wallace Jr. He was a black man who was shot to death. I don't want to go too much into it, but basically I want to say that Black Lives Matter. Police brutality has to stop. Again, I don't want to get too much into debate here about, whether or not the police officers were justified. I will say that they were not, as they were aware of his mental instability, and we have seen cases in which white men brandishing knives have not been shot and killed, and yet this black man was, for no apparent reason, as they were fully prepared for that sort of situation, but he was quickly murdered. And so justice for Walter, justice for all black lives that have been taken by police brutality and by systemic racism. And, I just want to make it very clear that, like I said, Black Lives Matter. For all lives matter people, I understand where you're coming from, but I would hope by now you've heard of the burning house analogy. No lives matter until Black Lives Matter. I try to stay very apolitical. This is not a politics podcast, but I think it's not political to say that a life matters. And it's not political to understand that there is racism and that the qualifications to become a police officer are extraordinarily low for someone who is given the right to take a life and most times get away with it, even if it's unjust. And so there needs to be reform, there needs to be change, and hopefully we will get to that. And hopefully, if you're listening out there, you can agree to an extent, and or just agree completely. Because I know I'm getting political. I don't think it should be political. I think this is just common sense. But I hope you wholeheartedly agree, because it's not something you should disagree with. The fact that innocent people are being shot down because of the color of their skin is something that is abhorrent and terrifying and should not happen. So yeah, like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on it. I just want to make you aware. If you haven't heard, I implore you to do your research, because I think the biggest issue with America and a lot of the world as well is ignorance, because a lot of people prey on said ignorance, and a lot of people, it's difficult. It's a lot to research, especially with fake news and different things like that. Again, trying not to get too political here. This has nothing to do with party. This has to do with human lives, and this has to do with trying to save innocent human lives that are being taken by systemic racism. And so, once again, Black Lives Matter. If you do not believe in that, you do not have a place in this community. That's just kind of where we're at this point. I don't have any sympathy for people who do not believe in the Black Lives Matter movement, because it is ridiculous if you do not. And so, getting past that, going into the games coming this week, got some cool stuff this week. The biggest heavy hitter is out today, and that is Watch Dogs Legion for PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Google Stadia. In Watch Dogs Legion, you get to build a resistance from virtually anyone you see as you hack, infiltrate, and fight to take back a near-future London that is facing its downfall. Welcome to the Resistance. So I actually have this game. I'm going to be streaming it tonight. And so if you are free from 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be streaming Watch Dogs Legion, the first few hours of it, live on my Twitch at Pandamaster Twitch. And so if you're interested, check it out. I'm really excited to play this game. I'm very excited. The reviews came. They are pretty good. I don't think it's necessarily going to win any Game of the Year awards, but I'm very excited. I was excited when this game got announced. I've been a semi-fan of the Watch Dogs franchise. I can't say I'm like a super big fan because I never beat either of them, but I like them, and just this whole premise of being able to play as anyone is just, it's got me super hyped. It's always had me hyped, and so I'm really excited, especially after the delay when Breakpoint disappointed. Ubisoft really just giving their developers time to flesh out their games and make them the best they can be. Watch Dogs being one of those games. I'm really excited. I think this is going to be a really fun game. Also out tomorrow, we've got Pikmin 3 Deluxe for Nintendo Switch. Command a capable crop of different types of Pikmin to strategically overcome obstacles, defeat creatures, and find food for your famished home planet. You can even bring a second player along to divvy up tasks as you explore a world that seems larger than life from a pint-sized perspective. So this is an enhanced port of the Wii U game, Pikmin 3. The reviews dropped just recently, and everybody's loving it. This is probably something I'm going to dip my toes in, not immediately, but soon, because I just recently purchased a Wii U. I don't know why. It's for the sake of collecting because I'm a hoarder. But I didn't have a Wii U back in the day, so all these Wii U games I've missed out on. So this is another one never played. I've never played any Pikmin, and so this is definitely something I want to check out at some point. But that is out tomorrow for the Switch. Also out tomorrow, the Dark Pictures anthology Little Hope for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Trapped and isolated in the abandoned town of Little Hope, 4 college students and their teacher must escape the nightmarish apparitions that relentlessly pursue them through an impenetrable fog. So this is the newest installment in the Dark Pictures anthology by Supermassive Games, makers of Until Dawn, and the previous installment, Man of Medan. I forgot the name for a second, but yeah, this is something I really have been wanting to play, Man of Medan, just because it's a game that intrigues me. I really loved Until Dawn. I know Man of Medan kind of got some lukewarm responses, but the whole movie night idea, which is returning for Little Hope, of which you can play with up to 5 people and just pass the controller and each person is assigned to a character, I think is really cool. It sounds like a really fun party game. And so it's something I've been meaning to try out but never have. And now with Little Hope, they are again having that functionality. Or you can also play online co-op with another person as well. So some cool features to it. And, you know, I like my narrative-driven spooky games. And so just in time for All Hallows Eve. Then out on Tuesday, we've got Bakugan Champions of Vestroia. So this is an all-new action role-playing game with an original story that expands on the hit TV series and brings the Bakugan universe to the Nintendo Switch for the very first time. The adventure takes players on the ultimate Bakugan journey as they befriend powerful creatures known as Bakugan, gear up and customize Bakugan teams for fiercely strategic battles, and master their skills to become the champion of Vestroia. Players can also play online in head-to-head multiplayer. So back in the day, back in the original Bakugan, back when Bakugan was good, you know, I was a huge fan. And so I had the Wii game, the original Bakugan Battle Brawlers video game. That was pretty dope. And so, like, I saw some screenshots of this, and I'm like, this game's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. But, like, again, if your kids are into Bakugan, you know, they're coming out with a cool licensed game. You know, a part of me, the nostalgic person of me, is, like, kind of interested in this because I loved Bakugan when I was a youngin', and so but it's coming out Tuesday, so that's another game for the kiddos. Also out on Tuesday, Dirt 5 for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So this is the boldest off-road racing experience created by Codemasters. Blaze a trail on routes across the world, covering gravel, ice, snow, and sand, with a roster of cars ranging from rally icons to trucks to GT heroes. So it's the newest Dirt game. This has been one of the champion games for the Series X, which it will be a launch title for. Yeah, people are excited about this. If you're big into racing games, me personally, I love playing the Forza Horizon games. I like the more arcadey racers, but racing games aren't really like my super big. I played Dirt 3 and I owned Dirt Rally 2.0 maybe. I think it's 2.0. I never dipped my toes into it, but they're all right. They're not my personal thing, but if you are into racing games, got a new one coming out this Tuesday, and people are really excited about it, especially with the console versions being able to run at 120 hertz if you have that capability. But also on Tuesday, Jurassic World Evolution Complete Edition for Nintendo Switch. Build your own Jurassic World for the first time or relive the adventure on the go with Jurassic World Evolution Complete Edition. Packed with every piece of downloadable content available, Jurassic World Evolution Complete Edition for Nintendo Switch includes all 3 major narrative expansions: Jurassic World Evolution, Return to Jurassic Park, Jurassic World Evolution Claire's Sanctuary, and Jurassic World Evolution Secrets of Dr. Wu, as well as 4 dinosaur packs and the Raptor Squad skin collection. So, this is a game that came out, was it last year? Either last year or the year before, for consoles and PC, and now it's coming to Switch. And so, if you're a huge Jurassic World fan, this is a fun little game you can play on the go. I think this is a good game to come to the Switch. It's kind of like a build your own, just build your own Jurassic World and just have some fun with it. I think it's a cool thing to just be able to, pick up, play when you got some downtime, that sort of thing. I think this is a good addition to the Switch library, but it's coming out on Tuesday. And so that wraps up the games coming this week. Excuse me as I take a drink from my Dr. Pepper, PhD. We're going to get into some gaming news, and we've actually got some pretty significant stuff this week. So first up, this just happened recently. The Halo Infinite director has left the project after this new delay. This is the second director to leave the project, Chris Lee, and so he was the lead single-player campaign director. Now it goes into the hands of Joe Staten, which is personally intriguing to me because Joe Staten just started working on this game a couple months ago, and he's basically now in charge of it. And so, now, to be fair, he's only doing the single-player portion, whereas Pierre Hinsey, forgive me if I mispronounced the last name, is leading the multiplayer. But, Joe Staten is a well-known name in the Halo community. He basically put Halo on the map. He made Halo what it is. And so, it's troubling because, this is the second director to leave Halo Infinite, and so it's like, what's going on over there? But also, it's like, they're giving a good man the reins, And so it's like, it's one of those things where we don't know how far in development this is. We don't know how drastically they're going to change the game. I don't know how much Joe has control over this game now, but I don't think this is a super bad thing. I think it is troubling about, they have a second director leaving, but I think the person replacing him is a really, really good thing for the game. So it's kind of a mixed bag. But yeah, that was something. And then November 2020, free PlayStation Plus games have been announced. And the reason that I want to talk about this is because we have our first PS5 game. So if you get PlayStation Plus with your PS5 at launch, you will have a game for free, and that game is Bugsnax. What's good? We talking about Bugsnax. So this game is a huge hit, and it's not even out yet. And so PS5 players being able to get this for free, although I will clarify, the PS4 version of Bugsnax will not be available as a PlayStation Plus title. The titles for November on PS4 are Middle-earth: Shadow of War and Hollow Knight Voidheart Edition. And so it is only the PS5 version of Bugsnax that will be available through PlayStation Plus. And so already we're getting a brand new PS5 game for free. We're also going to be getting the, the PlayStation Plus collection, which will be, a bunch of PS4 games. And so you're going to have a library to play when you get your brand new shiny console. But it's nice that we have one game that it's like, you pay for the online, you get Bugsnax, and you have at least something. If you, can barely afford this new console with coronavirus and just the world that we live in, can't really afford to get any games, you got Bugsnax. You get Bugsnax. And so that's really cool. That's really cool that, that's a thing. We haven't heard anything from Xbox yet, but maybe we will soon. I would assume, but we'll see what they do. And then my personal favorite announcement of the week: Nintendo just had a quote unquote mini direct. I mean, I guess it was like semi short, but like they had a mini direct yesterday. And it was freaking phenomenal. I'm sure a lot of people were just like a lot of softcore Switch fans were like, okay, whatever. But like, I thought this was the best direct. Well, it's close with, I think the Super Mario, the 35th anniversary direct, I think that one might still take the cake. But this one was just incredible in my opinion. I loved everything going on. So I'm going to do a quick rundown of all the stuff that was announced. And I think there's some really cool, like, big things going on for the Switch that was covered in this direct. So first off, a demo for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is now available. I intend to check that out here real soon, but I haven't as of yet. But yeah, you can experience a little bit of this brand new game, their big fall title. And so also they revealed that the Divine Beasts will also be playable in Hyrule Warriors. So like, that's pretty nuts. Secondly, kind of sad news, Bravely Default 2 got a brand new trailer and it was delayed to February 26th, 2021. I'm not super surprised. I mean, I figured, we had a 2020 release date for the longest time and they weren't saying anything. So I was like, just kind of waiting for it. And so I'm not super surprised. But it's nice to know it's in February. It's not like it didn't just get pushed back indefinitely. But, yeah. So we got a little bit new sneak peek at that game. And it is coming out February 26th. That will be a day one purchase for me for sure. I'm excited about that game. Then we got the big boys. This is my personal, I think there's a lot of cool announcements here, but these are my personal favorites. We're getting cloud games on the Nintendo Switch. So back not long after the Switch's launch, they had cloud version games available for Japan, which was Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Resident Evil 7. Now, Control Ultimate Edition is available right now to be able to play via the cloud worldwide, as well as Hitman 3 will be coming. And so it didn't say a release date, so we don't know if it will hit day and date on January 20th, along with, the other consoles and PC. But we do know that Hitman 3 is coming to Switch via the cloud. And so basically how it works is similar to like Stadia or GeForce Now or Amazon Luna. It's just streaming the game to you. And so it does require an internet connection. It requires a pretty decent internet connection. And so, you do need to make sure that you can have the best connection possible. But this is really cool. I'm really excited to see how this works, see how their servers run. If I didn't already own Control, I would, I'm still heavily considering buying this. But I literally own it on PC already, and I can get it through PlayStation Now. So it's like, there's really not any reason for me to get this on the Switch. But Control's one of the most graphically intensive games on the market right now. And so to hear that it's running on a Switch, even though it is via cloud, just that you can play this on a Switch, I want to say on the go, but it kind of depends. You could technically do a hotspot or do it, but being able to play Control on a handheld is dope and awesome, and I love that. And so, and then we'll get Hitman 3, which Hitman 2 is a gorgeous game, and I have no doubt Hitman 3 will continue that trend of just being absolutely beautiful games. And it's going to be on the Nintendo Switch. And I think this shows a lot about what their plan is going into this next generation. I do believe a Switch Pro is coming, whether it be this next spring or later. It's coming, and I think it's going to be in the vein of the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro. And I think now this is totally a shot in the dark here, but I'm wondering if the big games say, I don't know, Doom 3, it's too intense for it to run on the regular Switch, but it can run on the Switch Pro. So if you buy a copy of Doom 3 for Switch, if you have a Switch Pro, it can run via the cartridge or whatever. If you have a regular Switch, it runs via the cloud. It's just the fact that they didn't just abandon this, that, you know, it wasn't just a couple test things, that they are bringing this worldwide now, makes me think that they have some sort of plan with it. And I think this is kind of what they're going for. Again, I could totally be wrong. This is just me spitting out stuff into the void. But I honestly think that this is Nintendo saying, hey, you know, if you have a Switch Pro, you can play this game with gorgeous graphics. But if you don't have a Switch Pro, that's okay. You can still stream it from the cloud. I think, that sounds like the thing that could be done. And I think, I'm assuming that Control and then Hitman 3 eventually will run at least decently. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done it. I'm very curious to hear how Control runs via the cloud, especially because, you know, you have to have good servers in order to do that, in order to have it run well. And so I'm very curious to see how it runs and, like, the latency and all of that, because if it does well, I genuinely think that that's their plan. I mean, I think that's their plan now, but I think it all depends on, you know, whether it is functional, because I feel like that's definitely something they could do. And yeah, I think this is a big thing. I think this is really, really cool. And like I said, I think it has a lot more implications than people are thinking of. And I think that this is going into their strategy for the Switch Pro. And so moving forward, we got some more No More Heroes 3 footage shown. Again, earlier, what was it, like a month ago, it got delayed to 2021. But they surprise dropped No More Heroes and No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle on the Switch. So it's available right now. You can go get both of them. They were both originally released on the Nintendo Wii, and now they're available on the Switch. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to play No More Heroes 3. I haven't played any of them, and so I think before 3 comes out, I want to just grind through the original games, and now I can have them all on the Switch, including Travis Strikes Back, because that was also released on the Switch. I know it's a spin-off, but, like, you know, all the No More Heroes games are now on the Switch, which is really cool because, again, people that might have missed out on it can now play it all, like play them all on the Switch, and it's really awesome. We got a new trailer for Immortals Fenyx Rising, which is coming on December 3rd, which I played the demo on Stadia this past week. Absolutely phenomenal game. I immediately pre-ordered it. I am so excited to play this game. It is absolutely phenomenal. Like, it was like on my radar, but I was like, okay, whatever. But then, like, getting my hands on this game, it is phenomenal. Highly recommend it if you are a fan of either Assassin's Creed Odyssey or Breath of the Wild, because it is a perfect mix of the two. Literally perfect mix of the two. And so I am so excited to play the full game. We also got some cool announcements. Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town is coming to Switch on March 23rd, 2021. Part-Time UFO from the developers of the Kirby series is now available. It got a surprise drop. Tropico 6 Nintendo Switch Edition is coming out November 6th. Surviving the Aftermath is coming out in spring 2021. That's a cool little indie game. I really like the aesthetic of it. I saw a little bit of the trailer. They dropped another launch trailer for Bakugan Champions of Vestroia, which, like I said, comes out on Tuesday. Griftlands Nintendo Switch Edition is coming in summer 2021. I thought this was really cool because it looked like a grotesque version of Slay the Spire, like if they really leaned into like horror. I know, like, because Slay the Spire isn't necessarily like a super bright and shiny game, but like this is like if the creator of Ben 10 made Slay the Spire or something. I don't know. I thought it was really cool. I like that, and I love Slay the Spire, so, you know, this immediately got my attention. But yeah, so that was the Nintendo Direct Mini. Like I said, we had a lot of really cool announcements, and so I really think that cloud gaming is a lot bigger deal than people let on, and I think it's got a lot of implications. And, you know, again, you can go play the Age of Calamity demo. You can go play Control on your Switch right now. You can go get No More Heroes 1 and 2. You can get a new Kirby developer game. All sorts of cool stuff got announced out of nowhere, and it's fantastic, and I love that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why these announcements are kind of like surprising, but they make sense. I'm going to talk about that in the main topic here in just a little bit. But moving on from Nintendo for now, got some sad news. Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed once again until December 10th. It is a 3-week delay. I was so excited to play this game. I'm still so excited to play this game. I cannot wait. Yeah, people were not happy, especially because for the last like month or so, the social team has been confirming like it is 100% happening on November 17th. Like, yes, you can take off, you can take your vacations. And then, to be fair, the person running the social, like running the Twitter and running all this, they were informed at the exact same time we were of the delay. They were not given any heads up, and so they thought it was coming out November 17th or November 19th. I think I've been saying 17th, but it's 19th. But they were not aware of this at all whatsoever, and so they have attributed it basically to make sure it runs well on all 9 versions, because they've got current gen, next gen, PC, Stadia, all that stuff. There's been rumors that it's not running well on current gen consoles. There's also some rumors that Stadia has some weird stuff going on with it, which I personally think I'd be surprised if that was the case, because the Stadia version originally wasn't supposed to hit the September launch. It was just supposed to come out sometime in 2020. Then when it got delayed to November, it was coming day and date. And so I figure unless Stadia changed the contract, which is entirely possible, I don't think CD Projekt Red is concerned about meeting the deadline for Stadia specifically. I think if Stadia was a problem, they would just say, it's coming a little later. But again, Stadia could have changed the contract. That's entirely possible. But it seems to me, I think the most likely reason is that current gen, and not even necessarily the One X and the PS4 Pro, but getting Cyberpunk to run well on the brick and mortar 2013 Xbox One and 2013 PS4. I think those are the big issues, and yeah, they're trying to fix it. And so they're giving themselves an extra 3 weeks to try to make it run as well as possible. But if you have one of those original systems, honestly, I would try to upgrade to a new console. I do not think you're going to get a super pleasant. You're definitely not going to get the best experience with those consoles. But yeah, basically they've also said like that it is running fine on PC. It's running fine on next gen consoles. It's the current gen that needs some work. Some insiders have kind of let that slip a little bit. But yeah, so we've got another delay. People are not happy about this. The developers have been receiving death threats. It has been terrible. I've seen some messages that have been put out. It's absolute chaos, and it is ridiculous. Like, the amount of toxicity I've seen in the gaming community this year between this and previous Cyberpunk delays and The Last of Us Part 2, their whole drama. Just so much toxicity. In no way, shape, or form should there be any form of death threats given to anybody, no matter what they've done. It's absolutely horrifying. There are people threatening these developers' families, saying they know where they live. It is absolutely horrific, and in no way, shape, or form okay. But yeah, I'm bummed, of course. Like, I want to play Cyberpunk right now. I already talked to my boss about getting off that entire weekend. Luckily, my work situation, it's much more flexible in terms of like, one, I'll be on break now when it comes out, so I don't have to worry about taking off work. And my boss is very relaxed anyway about like, just giving heads up about when I'm not available, and that sort of just very understanding about that. But there are people that took off vacation time for this, that it's very hard to take off vacation for their job. And now it's screwed. It's like basically getting a plane ticket for a vacation, and then 3 weeks 3 weeks until it comes out, or 3 weeks until you leave, and they say, oh, your flight's been delayed three more weeks. Like, what are you supposed to do there? I mean, obviously nobody wanted this, but again, a rushed game is forever bad. A delayed game is eventually good. And so just trying to remember that quote, trying to remember, but it definitely hurts. And I do not like the not the marketing team, the head people at CDPR. The developers are not to blame. It is definitely some corporate stuff going on there that needs to be fixed, because basically the entire development of Cyberpunk has been plagued by management issues. And so I really hope that they get that fixed for the sake of the devs, because we have confirmation some of the devs have been working 100-hour weeks, possibly for the last year. And so it's been nuts. Like, that's working 14 hours a day every day. You eat, sleep, and Cyberpunk. That is it. That is absolutely horrifying. And I hope the devs will get a nice long break once this ships before they have to go back for the DLC that is coming. Hopefully they don't just have to go rush out. You know, they can get a break because they deserve it. But another Cyberpunk delay. It's sad. I was very, very, very sad to hear that. But, yeah. And so, finally, Phil Spencer is hinting at an Xbox Game Pass streaming stick for your TV, no console required. So, Phil Spencer's been doing a lot of interviews, and so he was speaking to The Verge, and he explained, I think you're going to see lower-priced hardware as part of our ecosystem when you think about streaming sticks and other things that somebody might want to just go plug into their TV and go play via xCloud. You could imagine us even having something that we just included in the Game Pass subscription that gave you an ability to stream xCloud games to your television and buying the controller. So I personally think that not being able to stream xCloud on TV is xCloud's biggest flaw right now. You know, it's just via mobile. And to be fair, you know, xCloud is included with Game Pass Ultimate, so it's not like I don't think it's, you know, overpriced at all. Like, you know, you just get it with Ultimate. But I do think it's something like I don't really use xCloud because I don't game on my phone all that much. Even with like Stadia or GeForce Now, I very, very, very rarely play a game on my phone. It's usually, you know, on my PC or on the TV via Chromecast or some other thing. And so Xbox basically thinking about making their own little stick, that gives me more incentive to play xCloud. And so just to use the system because, you know, I'm not really going to use my phone all that much. It's cool. It's just not something I'm particularly interested in. And I don't think a whole lot of people are interested in that either. But yeah, and so that wraps up the news for this week. I'm going to take another drink from my PhD pepper. And so what I alluded to earlier is that, as the title suggests, I want to talk about the effects of coronavirus on the gaming industry. Because I know this isn't necessarily a new topic, but I think where we're at right now, we're really starting to see those effects because it was delayed for a while. I mean, we did see some minor things going on, and obviously the loss of conventions was something that happened very immediately. But in terms of game shipping and getting information about games or systems or things like that, it's not something that it was immediately affected. And I think we're now at the point where we're really starting to see the damage that this plague has brought upon us. And so when you get to like the spring and summer, like I said, the biggest thing I can think of coronavirus related in that time was The Last of Us Part 2 being delayed. And that was not because it wasn't finished, but literally because no one could leave their homes. And so they were worried about sales. So they pushed it from May to June. And so, but other than that, there wasn't really a whole lot of effect in terms of like releases, news, that sort of thing. People kind of just went on and did their own thing. But then the loss of conventions, that was the big thing at first. That was the big thing that's still a thing. You know, we didn't have E3 this year. We didn't have PAX. We didn't have, you know, Comic-Con and, you know, the traditional settings and different things like that. And yes, we had supplementary live streams and different things like that for a lot of it. But for instance, you know, this is a console. This is a new console generation. We're getting the Xbox Series X. We're getting the PS5. A lot of people would usually have a chance to try those out at E3. Granted, PlayStation would not. But, like, they likely would have had their own event where you would have gotten hands-on with the PS5. Where we're at now, people are just now getting their hands on a PS5. People are just now getting their hands on a Series X. Just in general. I mean, no one's gotten access to these things. Usually we'll have all this coverage beforehand, and we are now getting that, but that timetable is much smaller. And even just the news surrounding next gen, it has been so delayed. Most stuff that we usually would find out in June we just found out about a couple weeks ago. And so it has been a crazy year. It's definitely, there's been a lot of stuff affected by COVID-19. But the reason that I say now is the time where we're really starting to be hurt by the coronavirus. And I want to relate this to Nintendo because I think Nintendo's is the easiest to spot. We're seeing that things generally are not being announced until fairly close to release. So ever since coronavirus started, I mean, that has been Nintendo's game plan. Paper Mario got announced like a month before release. Hyrule Warriors got announced like, 2 or 3 months before its release. A bunch of games, they're just keeping everything close to their chest. And it makes perfect sense because with coronavirus, it makes everything unpredictable in terms of being able to finish something. And so they don't want to say a game is ready and then it is not because of the conditions that have changed because of the virus. And so because of that, news really is like, we're not getting news in regular cycles. I think things are much more planned out when we're not in a pandemic in terms of, developers don't want to be quiet. They otherwise, like, they don't want people to, be like, where's this game? What's happened to it? Start worrying. They kind of keep like a steady flow. I don't think anybody's following that because I think everybody has an excuse, and they do. Like, everybody's just trying to scramble and adjust to this new environment. And because of that, we're not hearing news until they are pretty much certain that that is it. That is concrete. Because they don't know what's going to happen in the next few months. They don't even know what's going to happen in the next few days. I mean, 2020 has been a roller coaster. And so because of that, we're getting all these surprise Nintendo live streams. We're getting surprise Xbox live streams and PlayStation live streams. And we're getting all these things saying, this game, it comes out next month after not having a release date for the longest time. And just little things like that. And then going, like, long time without hearing anything. Like Bravely Default, I believe before yesterday, the last time we heard about that game might have been in March. It was when the demo was released. I feel like that was in March. But we didn't hear a peep about that game all year. No More Heroes 3 was another one. It got announced at the Game Awards, then nothing until about a month ago when it got delayed to 2021. And just a bunch of games that we probably would have heard more about if not for coronavirus. I fully believe we would have gotten some sort of look at Bayonetta 3 at E3 this year, but it didn't show up because there was no E3. And because they're not ready yet, and they probably still have a ways to go, there's no reason for them to show anything because it has been severely slowed down by COVID, I presume. And so there's just a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of stuff going on that we're not sure of. And so I think this is really the time where coronavirus is going to affect things, because I'm sure a lot of games, so all the games that have come out this year, they're not rushing to make new games right now. Now, yes, game developers need to make money, and so obviously they need to be making something, but I think if companies can afford it, they are not trying to get anything started right now if they can push it off until after this pandemic hopefully ends soon. And so I think we're now getting to the point where we're going to start seeing a decline in games. I think 2021 is going to be a very interesting year. Already we have a bunch of heavy hitters that are supposed to be coming out. Halo Infinite, God of War Ragnarok, a bunch of other stuff, But it's just, there's so much unknown. And because of not knowing how long coronavirus is going to last still, it's very difficult to be able to tell that at all and just be able to put any sort of time frame on anything because, people, for the longest time, people were expecting this to only be short term. And then because of people's incompetence, it's no longer short term. And so people keep having to constantly adjust their plans and adjust their routines and adjust their new normal. And because of that, I just don't think we're going to have any sense of normalcy in the gaming industry until this is over. Because people keep expecting it to end, and it's not. It's not. People keep jumping the gun, and it's not going anywhere. And so because of that, the past few weeks, it's been fairly slow with the news. This past week we got some good stuff, but the past couple weeks it was like, we after we got the price info for the new consoles, it was just sort of dead. And there's usually something to talk about. There's usually some little thing we can really get into and get some tidbits about, that sort of thing. But this time, it was just, there's not a lot there because no one's really ready to show stuff because they don't know how solid and concrete that's going to be because of just the unpredictability of 2020. And I think that's the biggest effect on the gaming industry, is that no one is willing to be as bold as they were before the coronavirus. And not even necessarily in terms of game development, but in terms of marketing. I don't think anybody necessarily wants to release a game in coronavirus because you do have less people going out to stores. You do have people with less money. And so I'm sure plenty of game developers have lost money due to coronavirus. How much? I don't know. I mean, I know there's been a huge uptake in digital sales because of coronavirus, but it is also important to note, people are making a lot less money. A lot of people are making a lot less money. Again, those people that buy physical don't want to go out to stores or might still not be going out to stores. Stock is not great. I mean, we saw Nintendo Switches were out of stock. They're just now kind of getting back to where they were. They're starting to become more readily available. But it's like, it was like, it's one of those things where, no one obviously wants to do this. And I think the longer this goes on, the more effects we will see on the industry. And so really, it's just hoping that we reach some sort of solution soon and that we can make it through. We can do it. We can get rid of this pandemic because I sure am tired of it. I think everybody else is too. But yeah, I figured I'd go on a little spiel about that for this week. I'm going to take another drink real quick. And then I'm going to talk about the games I've been playing this week. Because I've been playing quite a few. So I finished Amnesia Rebirth. Absolutely fantastic game. If you're looking for a good horror game, this is it. It is really fun. It's got some cool spooks in there. I really, really love the story. I think it's really intriguing and really cool, and it's just something that really keeps you interested the whole way. I never felt bored. I never felt like, it was like it was just going on and on and on. It was just really, really well done. Really worth the price. It's very cheap. It's a $30 game, and it's 7 hours, and so I think it's well worth the money if you are into that sort of game. Again, I mentioned earlier, I played the Immortals Fenyx Rising demo on Stadia. That was super fun. I also played the Humankind beta, which, if you are into Civ games, it is really fun. It comes out in April, and I think it inserts a lot more narrative than Civ does. I think it's kind of like a mixture between Civ and Crusader Kings, which I think is really cool. And so, yeah, it's a really fun game. I enjoyed my time with it. I'm not a huge simulation fan, but I think if you are, this will be a game that you will enjoy. And then I also played Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle. This was another demo that was on Stadia only, and I wasn't a huge fan at first. I'm not the biggest Pac-Man guy. I don't have anything against it. I just, it was really before my time was when it was at its peak. But after I got a few games in and I really started getting into it, it's really fun. It's really fun, actually. I'm getting a little tired of Battle Royales all the time, but, it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun. It's a cool way to kind of keep Pac-Man fresh, because you can only run around as a yellow dude for so long. It's like, I don't know how people play it for thousands of hours. But this is cool. It's got some variety to it. It's got some fun. It really breathes some more life into this franchise. I don't know how they keep continuing to do so, but I think it's really fun. And if you're into Battle Royale games or just new takes on classic franchises, I think it's really cool. And it comes out in November, and you guys check it out if you haven't already. And then I played some more Smash. Smash is my default party game. I had some friends come over this weekend. We got to play some Smash, checking out more Minecraft Steve, just having some fun with some items, just all out, everybody for themselves, just having fun with that. I got to play Smash. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I love it. I love it. I played some more Dead by Daylight. I tried out the Doctor DLC with him and then Fang Min, and that was always fun. I'm still enjoying the heck out of that game, and I'm excited to play more. And then I played a little Dead Space the other day, again because I'm really in a horror mood. I've watched so many horror movies over the past few weeks. I believe where I left off last week, I was watching the Saw movies. Yeah, so I finished the Saw movies. And then I started watching Evil Dead. I watched all the movies, including the reboot, and then I watched all of Ash vs. Evil Dead, which is a phenomenal show. Heavily recommend it. I know I just finished it, but it is literally up there as one of my favorites I've ever seen. It is absolutely great, and I'm so depressed that it got canceled because it was such a good show. And now I've been watching the Scream. I watched all 4 of the Scream movies, and I just started the MTV Scream show. It's very meh. It's an MTV show, but I heard season 2 is really, really good, and so I'm mostly kind of like grinding to get to that, and it has some cool moments, but it's like I feel like I'm watching like 2010 ABC Family, like that's or like I'm watching Teen Wolf or something, but it is definitely an MTV show. But yeah, I'm still a bunch of horror stuff, which honestly I wouldn't even classify Scream as a horror show. The movies, they had some slasher stuff, but yeah, so I've been loving playing some Dead Space. It's super scary, it's super fun, love the adrenaline, so I played some of that. But with that, I'm going to get out of here a little early this week, since it is just me talking and we are a little bit slower. I'm going to have some fun stuff to talk about next week as we'll get into November and kind of, wrap up October, look ahead to November, all sorts of fun stuff. But thank you guys for joining me today. Again, my name's Landon Plumley. You can find me on Twitter at Plumley_Landon, PLUMLEY_LANDON. You can find me on YouTube at PandaMaster and at Twitch at PandaMaster Twitch. I stream on YouTube Mondays and Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fridays. And then I stream on Twitch Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And like I said, tonight I am going to be checking out Watch Dogs Legion, which I am super excited about. So if you are interested as well, feel free to check me out over on the Twitchverse. And yeah, thank you guys again, and I will see y'all next week.